I think you took it too far, Bob. Well, I just want you to know that it's all about the kids.
It's always about the kids.
If truth.
Why don't we just do this?
Should we start the show?
Well, yeah, we're gonna have to have a drink of this. How many cherries did you put in yours, by the way?
2.
Oh, good. Utah, give me 2. Let's take a little sippy, shall we?
Yeah. Well, should we start the show or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we want to do that today. We're gonna do a show.
Okay.
We're gonna-
Let's just
we're
say
gonna-
that right now we're already doing the show.
Oh, I like what you did there. Hey, wait. Why am I talking to you? Who the fuck are you?
I'm just some asshole that took over for Bob.
Well, couldn't come at a better
Ooh.
time. I was really, really getting sick of that piece of shit, Bob. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that guy's a real douchebag. He's a real clown.
super douchey. But welcome to the Stiff Truth. We are already in progress here, as we say in the biz. Bob West, Scott Castelnova. Got some obvious things we're going to be talking about by our backgrounds. If you guys are in podcast land that you can't tell, we're very celebratory today. We're very prideful today. We got some glee going on today. Is that accurate, Bob? What do you think, man?
Yeah, a wee bit of glee.
A wee bit of glee. I'm not even sure what that means. I like it though, just a little bit, just a little touch. But I'll tell you what, man. As we always want to start out here, this is I guess we have to admit something here right out of the gate about our cocktail. We have purposely glazed over like it was the last fat kid to be picked during dodgeball and PE or something like that. We've glazed over completely the Manhattan. The entire time we do a show called The Stiff Truth that involves having very stiff cocktails with every show, and we've completely overlooked probably one of the stiffest cocktails out there that has a pretty long track record of being a badass cocktail, and we just looked over it, bud. So here we are. We finally have come to terms here with we need to get in here and have a Manhattan. So that's what we're doing today. The Manhattan.
Yeah, I mean, it is one stiff cocktail.
I like that. I like that dramatic pause. I got super excited. I was like, Dylan Mulvaney? No? Oh.
Like if this drink was any stiffer, it'd be sponsored by Bud Light. Like
I can only hope they're like it's like, hold on. Bud Light's new campaign is like cocktail of the year. The Manhattan. There you go. But yeah, Bob, you're absolutely right, dude. This is a stiffy right here. Now, I think the biggest thing that we just overlook completely, and I'm very guilty of this, dude. I was like, the Manhattan, old fashioned, they're essentially the same thing, plus or minus, just like how you prepare it a little bit, like one ingredient off.
But are they?
No,
they're not at all.
And quite in fact, what is this? 2.5 times the booze versus an old fashioned.
It's so crazy because oftentimes we make doubles, right? And if you guys don't know by now, but I guess we have new people. A shot is 1.5 ounces. Like it's an ounce and a half. That is a measured standard shot. And when we mix up a double, we'll double the recipe so that we have twice the drink because we bloviate for quite a bit on the show, and we like to have our drink last, and without having to make another one. But this drink. It's the size of a martini, right? But it's 3.5 ounces of booze, so it already is a double, and that's the drink. And Scott, I fucking love how just a little bit of vermouth and bitters in there just takes that edge off, so you're not breathing fire after every drink of this. It's just enough, and I don't think that's by accident. Someone figured out the right amount of those two to throw in there so that you can drink this without putting on a circus show with a lighter. So I don't know. Shame on us for not having this drink in the last 3.5 years.
I don't know what's wrong with us, man, but hey, you know what? There's always time to improve, and that's what we're doing right now. Is we're doubling back. Reparations for the cocktail of the Manhattan here. But yeah, like Bob was saying though, this is beefy. This is 3.5 ounces of rye whiskey or a whiskey of your choice, whatever, man. Hey, me and Bob now happen to have a little bit of a hard on. We've got a big stiffy for the rye whiskey. So we got Bullet Rye in here, and preparations, guys, in case you haven't made one, because again, I'm guilty of it. I thought it was very similar to an old fashioned. It is not, in the sense of there's just a hell of a lot more booze in here.
And
But
no
you
sugar.
start out, yeah, no sugar. You start out mixing glass with ice, throw in a half ounce of sweet vermouth. If you want to, you could do dry vermouth, and you can do equal parts of each. So a quarter ounce.
Yeah, you want to
Uh,
unpack the differences there real quick, since you're just touching on it. You might as well give it to them.
Yeah, what the differences between sweet and dry vermouth?
Oh no,
Or-
the differences between like a perfect Manhattan.
Yes. Okay, so it calls for sweet vermouth. I think that makes sense too. You want to add a little bit of sweetness to this, right? But you can have dry. And then they do have a version of this drink called, what Bob was just saying, a perfect Manhattan. And that's where you do equal parts of that half ounce, sweet and dry, which we were talking about this earlier. It seems like it cancels itself out. Like if you're mixing sweet and dry, isn't that just vermouth at the end of the day? Like, what do we do in there? Like, I don't even know if that's necessary, Bob, is all I'm going to say. But we went ahead and went with the sweet. We like things a little sweet around here. Then you got some bitters, 2 to 4 dashes of bitters up in this bad boy. And then add your 3.5 ounces of rye whiskey or whiskey of your choosing. Give that a nice little stir. Now, Bob went sacrilegious on this one and decided to put it in that shaker and just give it a nice a nice MJ Fox, and that's okay. He can do that. He enjoys the shaker. And then you throw this thing into it says a short glass. Me and Bob went martini style glasses. Why not? Let's feel fancy. Because here's the other thing, Bob. When I think of, and again, ignorant to the fact, obviously, what a Manhattan actually had in it in detail. But when I think of a Manhattan, I'm thinking high class, right? I'm thinking like noir, you know what I mean? Like 30s and 40s, like kicking back one of these in a speakeasy or something like that. But maybe like a mobster or something. I don't know. That's what I'm. That's what
This
I'm
drink
getting from it.
reminds me of like an opportunity for you to just pound whiskey at the bar, but like doing it classy. Like I just want to like pound whiskey. I've had a long fucking week. I'm starting to suspect my significant other straying. Just give me a bunch of whiskey. Wait. I don't want to get kicked out of here and seem like an asshole, seem like a drunk. Just give me a couple of Manhattans, and then all of a sudden, you're trashed. If you have 2 Manhattans to the original recipe in the same hour to kick things off with, you better step lightly the rest of the night. I mean, the 2 back-to-back Manhattans is going to put you in a pretty ripe place drinking wise early. So I think it's something to be careful for. This is a kind of a sneaky, tricky drink.
Yeah, I mean, it's at straight up 7 ounces of bourbon. You know what I mean? So or whatever you're drinking there. That's no matter who you are, that's a decent amount of booze. So if you're having 2 Manhattans in an hour, you probably want to check on that guy when he's trying to order his third and you're just rolling into the second hour. Like, you all right, buddy? You feeling okay? Like,
Right.
you're not having suicidal thoughts or anything, because like, what are we really trying to accomplish right now?
Or if someone's like, I've never had a Manhattan, I'll have one. Oh, that's pretty good. It's strong though. I'm gonna have another one. Slow down.
Slow down. Hold on.
Let's dial it down a little bit. The Manhattan is one of the stiffer drinks that you're gonna order at any bar.
Somebody that's never had one before, not a big drinker, they ordered their second one like 20 minutes later. Like, so let's just I'm gonna be consultative with you right now. Like, what's your plan for the evening?
Because now's kind of sink or swim time for the rest of your night.
What's your end goal? Do you want to wake up with somebody like Dylan Mulvaney and not know how you got there? Or are you trying to drive your car home? These are important things you just kind of want to map out with me right now, so I can help you make the smartest decision for yourself, right?
That's funny. You do kind of have to plan out your Manhattan.
Yeah.
Not just one is fine. If you want to have a Manhattan, continue on with your night. As long as you're not following it up with several other drinks, it's good. It's a good way to start the night. It's probably a cheaper way to start the night at the bar because you get so much pack for your punch here. Yeah, I don't know. Definitely a favorite. I feel like a smacked asshole for not having drank it yet on the show, and I feel like a kind of an amateur hour over here in the West House for not thinking of it or bringing it to the table for the show.
Yeah, no, I feel you, dude. And we forget probably the tastiest element of this drink too, and that's that nice little couple of cocktail cherries that we throw in at the very end of everything, just to give it that little sweet edge. But here, I brought it up just because I was like, you know what? This seems like this drink has a little bit of a historical talk track. So let me just bring it up, and I'm not going to beat you.
Oh, I love story time.
Well, see, Bob, I'm going to admit here I have nothing prepared, so I'm just really going to be reading off here for the. Hey, you and I are going to be experiencing this for the first time together. Isn't that exciting, Bob? But
As is everybody else. So saddle up, everyone. Let's see where this goes.
get yourself some hot cocoa, or just a Manhattan if you choose. But popular history suggests that the drink originated at the Manhattan Club in New York City in the mid 1870s. I did not realize it went
Wow.
back that far.
I totally assumed this is a 20s prohibition era drink.
I think that's a very, very fair assessment and assumption by yourself. I was doing the same thing right away. I was like, yeah, noir style, 30s, 40s, whatever. But 1870s, let's put that in perspective, dude. There was people like roaming the Wild West, like shooting revolvers at each other in the middle of the street, while people in New York, the more refined people, not the savages out west or whatever, are kicking back, large quantities of rye whiskey in one drink. So there you have it. Let's see. It was invented by Ian Marshall for a banquet hosted by Jenny Jerome, Lady Randolph Churchill, mother of Winston, and honor of presidential candidate Samuel J. Tilden. Well, if Winston Churchill's mom has anything to do with the creation of a drink, I think that makes sense because Winston Churchill was quite the boozer. That I know about that guy. He loved to. I think he just liked to have a drink like at all hours of the day. I don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he was a lushy kind of a guy.
I bet you she was a tough old bird too.
Oh, dude, 100%, 100%. So there you go. I mean, that gives you a little bit of background on it. Let's see here. The success of the banquet made the drink fashionable, later prompting several people to request the drink by referring to it to the name of the club where it originated, the Manhattan cocktail. However, Lady Randolph was in France at the time and pregnant, so the story is likely fiction. So everything I just told you is bullshit.
Yeah, but hey, it's an urban legend. It's folklore.
Well, so let me ask you this here. Where do you go cocktails wise if you're having an evening, right? Where do you go after you start with one of these? What's your next drink, dude? You got to choose wisely here, Bob. Again, mapping out the evening sounds kind of important with this bad boy. So you just had yourself a Manhattan, and I'm going to say this. You're chatty. You're excitable right now. So you drank it rather quick. You downed your Manhattan in about 7-8 minutes. Just the guy next to you finished his cigarette about the same time that you finished your Manhattan. You're ready for another cocktail. In fact, the guy that you're with is like, hey, what's next? What are you going for, Bob? What are you going for? Let's see what kind of night Bob's going to have.
Well, honestly, I think you might want to go with the old fashioned would be a good one to kind of transition to on this, but just make sure that that's going to be your holding glass, like your talking glass, the one that you're going to carry with you for a little while and sip on it and love on it and have it for a minute. Because again, you don't want to just keep going off into the whiskey railway here with after your first Manhattan. But I think it would be a good transition. Same booze, right? I think it's a little bit, less weaker. It's a little bit weaker and yeah, I don't know. I think that would be a pretty good one, but you do have to be mindful. And again, you have to look out for your drink mates at the same time too. Yeah, I don't know. What would you do?
Well, I'm kind of an asshole, Bob, and I'm selfish too. So I was thinking, because I'm here to party, Bob, I would just follow this bad boy up with a shot of Everclear and let's get ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
We're just gonna get our night real interesting real quick.
I would like to be blacked out drunk while I order my second drink. That's what I'm going for here. But no, honestly, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna probably stay in the whiskey and bourbons. I think once you have this much as a starting point, I'm not transitioning to rum cocktails. You know what I mean? I'm not going into having like a gin based drink. I just don't see that. Maybe something vodka based if I'm really feeling squirrely, I guess. But I'm probably gonna follow it up with honestly, something a little bit more mild, but still resonates with the flavor. I'd probably go with the Paper Plane. Now, I'm also partial to Paper Planes right now, as I know you are too. They're probably at the top of my popularity right now.
Paper Plane, an egg white whiskey sour, or maybe a New York sour.
I was just about to say that. Get that red wine out too. You know what I mean?
That might make it good. Also, don't be afraid to just get a pint of ice water with lemon and just hold off for a minute and go after another Manhattan.
Interesting, Bob. I like what you did there. See, Bob, when you planned out your evening, you're like, look, this is gonna hurt if I go straight booze the entire night. Let's just like pump the brakes, get an aerial view of what's going on, chill out for a minute, people watch, and have myself some lemon ice water. Very
Yeah,
good. Very
and
good, Bob.
honestly, no one will know that it's water if you have a lemon in it.
True.
They'll
Yeah.
just assume that you got some other cocktail and you're drinking it and it's clear or whatever. And then you can circle back, get you buy yourself some time is what you're looking for, right? That one shot an hour pace. This puts you a little bit over the limit, so you do have to be mindful of that. But again, a Manhattan is definitely not a drink that you can keep going back to the well for all night long.
Well, I mean, you can, but you're gonna be a couple of things, bro. You're gonna be, I mean, again, you're gonna wake up. You're gonna wake up with something that you didn't think. You're gonna be fooled. You're gonna be bamboozled. We'll just say sexually, like sexual bamboozlement, right? Or you could end up just in the bathroom for a while. Or I mean, you could maintain, Bob, and you could have a healthy career and multiple rehab facilities. That's what I'm kind of seeing.
Do you remember when Jack Nicholson wakes up the first time in the movie Wolf? That's where you'll be. You'll wake up in like Central Park all naked.
What appears to,
what the hell happened?
with what appears to be blood around your mouth, somebody's finger in your pocket. You remember that? He's got like this guy's ring finger or some shit in his pocket. My goodness. You know what's crazy about that movie? Just a little bit of a tangent here. I love that movie. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
and
great.
I hear critics say it's like one of his worst movies, or his worst movie. And I'm like, what gives? You got James Spader in there, you got Michelle Pfeiffer in there, and I think for its time, the special effects were very cheesy, but it was also like 1994, 95. You know what I mean? Like, what are you expecting here? All-star class, great story, good soundtrack. You know, good. I don't know. Again, I'm a Wolf fan, but I'm also a Jack Nicholson fan, and James Spader and Michelle Pfeiffer. So, whatever, dude.
Yeah, it does have all the ingredients to be like a really perfect movie for
right.
For kind of
now perfect. I probably wouldn't go that far.
No,
but
the ingredients.
Yeah, yes.
It's a horror movie. It taps on like ancient like Halloween folklore. It's got Nicholson. It's got Pfeiffer. It's got Spader. It's got everything that you'd want. It's set in like one of the cooler, rich, enriched kind of cities culturally. You know, in the center of the universe for many reasons. You know, I don't know. It's got all the ingredients that makes you want to watch that movie.
I agree, 100%, bro. Anyways, enough about that, Bob. Let's talk about the the topic of the day. We could just get right into it, man. I don't know. To me, this is funny. I'm gonna say this right now. This being something that we're talking about, I think is funny. And we're like, if anybody again is not watching the YouTube video, which I know it's a decent amount of people that are not, we're talking about Bud Light and their marketing decisions and the blowback and I'll just say hysterical freak out by some pretty hardcore conservatives about them choosing to have a spokesperson that is transgender, Dylan Mulvaney. I've said the lady's name a few times already here. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know who before this story came out. I know the story's a few weeks old now, but before the story came out, I had no idea who Dylan Mulvaney is. From what I've learned, they kind of had a public transition starting about a year ago from male to female and posted the transition, I believe, on TikTok, and mainly TikTok, but maybe TikTok and Instagram. And dude, Dylan has got a shitload of sponsorships and shit like that she's doing right now. I mean, like L'Oreal, and I think there's like another shampoo company or whatever, and then you got Bud Light. Like dude, kudos right there for being an influencer, making way more money probably than I'll ever see. So I that's a whole nother show how there's people doing that all the time now. But yeah, I get it. I guess I just didn't run in those circles quite yet, Bob. So I didn't know who this person was, but that was the big thing, right? So like the controversy comes in, Bud Light's all, hey, we're reaching out. And I have to imagine, because I don't know the story in detail, I have to imagine she did not reach out to Bud Light. This is Bud Light reaching out saying, hey, you know what? Yeah. You're a viral trans person. We want to promote you and promote inclusion with our brand and basically try to reach out to a different segment of the population that may or may not be Bud Light drinkers right now, but we want to kind of capitalize on this, and we think it's going to be something where we're there. That's their goal, right? This is going to get us more loyalty, more popularity, get maybe a bigger fan base with our beverage. That's their goal, right?
Well,
there.
in
So,
marketing, what do we call that, right? We call that like expanding your target audience, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you're just trying to increase that demographic for the people that want to buy your booze. And in business, this is just business 101. Whether no matter what that demographic is, if there's a demographic that you're not hitting very well, you want to do whatever you can to expand into that to make more money, because that's what businesses do. They make more money. It's very interesting because when businesses reach out to influencers, I mean, I've looked into it ourselves for the Stiff Truth. It's very cost effective, right? So you know right away what their audience is. You know, if they promote your product and they have 1.2 million followers, there's going to be probably 80% of that sees their promo, right? And then vice versa, you get to pay for that targeted demographic for them, and it's nominal compared to national advertising where you're just casting huge webs marketing wise, and it's so much more cost effective to try to narrow down your audience and do it this way, because instead of paying $20 million for 30 seconds of Super Bowl time to hit 110 million people, of which half of those people think Bud Light is shit and will never drink it anyway, right? And you don't want to target people that already won't drink your product. You're looking for target audience. That's who you're trying to capture. And so, just reaching out to these people, they do it all the time. As far as big companies, they reach out to these influencers. They pay them, anywhere from $50, $100, $200, 1,000, 10,000, depending on their audience, of course. I've seen that, like Kim Kardashian gets like hundreds of thousands of dollars just to like rep a product or a brand in one post on Instagram.
Dude, she can literally have like a empty Bud Light can and a trash can next to her and get paid like $100,000 for that. Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous especially with the popular or the influencer, the number of followers that they have go up. Yeah,
I do have a question, right? So
for me or for everyone,
it's kind of for you. It's kind of for everyone. We love TikTok. We boasted about it like several times in the show. TikTok is one of my favorite social media platforms that's really ever come out. And I know how it works as far as the things that you start spending more time on, whether you hit the like button or not, it will show up in your feed. That's how it works, the algorithm, right? That's how it really starts identifying what you want to see, what you want to see, what you prefer to see, and targeting you specifically to start catering to the people that are marketing stuff on TikTok. Because in the end, that's what social media is for. It's for creating data points for advertising. The super conservatives get really worked up about Dylan Mulvaney and Bud Light, but she was posting on her social media, so someone's getting some algorithms about in the LGBT trans community, right? And they're getting wind of this and getting all up our arms about it. And I just think that it's funny because of the way that they're targeting demographics, which is why I kind of brought that up to begin with. I think we need to start being a little bit more honest with what we're watching and what we're consuming and what our algorithms are, instead of having this sort of, for the most part, a lot of fake outrage, when I think it's pretty obvious that there's some conservative guys out there that are, have some LGBT and trans stuff up in their feed. So, I don't know. I just think that the target was for Dylan's followers and the people that, like her stuff. And that's who it reached. But then the backlash is coming from a completely different demographic. And I just kind of find it ironic about the intersection there.
That's an interesting point you make there, man, because I have to imagine that not everybody, obviously, but I have to imagine it got in some people's feeds that were upset just because maybe they liked Bud Light. Maybe Bud Light's in their feed, though, right? And maybe these algorithms overlap a little bit with NASCAR, Bud Light, and now transgender,
of course, 100%,
right?
Yeah.
And now those people are super frustrated. Some of them that now when they're scrolling, they're getting trans advertising mixed in with their NASCAR, their WWE, and
it's going to happen with every company, Scott, because let's just be honest. The LGBT community, they have a little bit more disposable income than some communities.
True. Well, and here's my thing about this entire situation, this outcry from the far right, because I'll say that it's the far right, or this is somewhat too the not so educated right. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Yeah, I mean that are getting this upset about
We
this
call it undereducated.
Yes, yeah, that sounds good.
To be very respectful.
To be PC. educationally, yeah, whatever. But no, but my point is bringing up like what I was going to here is like, I just don't understand the reason for the excitement and the anger. Like at the end of the day, like here's my thing. Okay, we've already talked about this a little bit. We've glazed over it a little bit. Bud Light is really shitty beer. It's the worst light beer out there, in my opinion. Almost everything out, Coors Light, Miller Light, fucking Amstel Light, whatever light is better tasting than Bud Light. I honestly haven't had a Bud Light, nor have I paid for a Bud Light in the longest time. I can't remember the last time
I can remember. You bought a 40 with me one day.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think you had a Bud Light and I had a Miller Light champagne, a beer, whatever.
Which I would have gotten would it have been available to me as well?
Right,
I think Bud
that's
Light,
literally the last Bud Light you drank was on the show.
Yeah, and I think they're absolutely just horrible, disgusting beers. Now, with that being said, I know there's a lot of people out there that stand behind Budweiser and Bud Light, and for what that seems to represent to them, because there is a large faction of mainly conservative people that kind of parallel Bud Light and Budweiser and those Clydesdales and all their old school, pretty nifty marketing ads from like the 90s and early 2000s with patriotism, just Americanized kind of.
Well, let's be fair, Scott. For a long time, it was an American company in the heartland from what, St. Louis?
Yeah, St. Louis, Missouri. I think. Yeah,
I would never cater to Anheuser-Busch for anything.
Oh, there he goes. That's an InBev product right there. So we love what you're doing there. Bob's enjoying a Stella Artois, which is probably one of the greatest standard beer steel, but they're also owned by InBev, who owns Budweiser. Which
same company.
Hey,
let's just call it what it is, dude. They own like 80% of the beer market. I mean, it's hard to get away from a product that's not theirs. I mean,
it's true. It's true. But again, going back to this, like, you've got all these people upset about this. And I'm trying to understand how this move affects their life at all negatively, or their children, or their friends and family, or all the people that are, they're getting outraged about. Like, this is just so fucked up. I can't believe Bud Light is putting this person on their cans and like, letting them be the sponsor. They fooled us. They've lied to us. They're being dishonest with us. Like, what are you talking about? How is putting anybody, and I'm stepping out of the trans conversation for a minute, because how is telling anybody, hey, we're a company, we want you to sponsor our beer because we think that move is going to generate more revenue for our company? How is that being dishonest to any fucking douchebag that drinks Bud Light? How are you getting shit in your cereal from any person being a sponsor for Bud Light? Like, that's a question I'm asking you, Bob, but also rhetorical as well, is how does that even work? So to me, it's misplaced aggression and anger and distrust, or whatever they're feeling there. It makes no goddamn sense to my mind. And that's why I'm circling back to what I said at the beginning of our conversation here. This is comical to me, because the outrage is ridiculous. And the ironic thing takes me back to the old school 2016 mantra of calling liberals snowflakes, right? Because right now you've got some extreme right people that are supposed to be tough as nails that are getting their little feelings hurt about a random person being sponsored by Bud Light, that move does not affect their fucking lives whatsoever, and they just can't handle themselves.
I gotta say, it's smelling a little snowflakey. It just is. Now, first I want to mention that Anheuser-Busch's stock is up 5% in the last month. So
it worked.
Let's just say that.
Marginally worked.
Listen, no publicity is bad publicity when you're selling shit. Because people are still seeing your products. For all those people that are like boycotting it, there's people that are buying it specifically because, and if not, investing in it. So follow me here. it's a world of Venn diagrams. I don't have a chart that I'm going to draw in here, but stay with me here. What I'm talking about is people associate ideology with their character, right? So let's just say I'm a conservative person. Well, early on, you're indoctrinated into more the Christian ideology, typically, right? Christian conservatives really do dominate a lot, and people internalize that, lots of God and country and this and that, which is fine, whatever. I'm just saying that it exists, right? But also with that, there's the kind of, I wouldn't say hatred, but the intolerance for the LGBT community because of those core Christian conservative values, right?
Well, I mean, let's just call it what it is, right? To them, it's a blasphemy of God. It's a complete like what's a good word for it? It's to the core. It's wrong, right? You know what I mean? It is absolutely wrong. It's against everything that they believe when it comes to the religion. I get it. They don't have to like it, but anyways, go ahead.
Right. So you've got kind of this ideology there. And then you associate kind of the America thing and everything again with your ideology. Anheuser-Busch has been around, like some of the, NASCAR, wrestling, some of these things for a long, long time, decades. And then you start intersecting these, but then now Anheuser-Busch is no longer American. Now Anheuser-Busch is a European company. And now they're really starting to like kind of step out outside of their self and want to function as a true SME. That's an MNE, a multinational enterprise, right? And as they are, but they don't want to target America so much. They really are starting to target the rest of the world with their products. And so again, with the reaching out to demographics and everything, business is business. They're doing their thing. But here in America, many people didn't even realize that Anheuser-Busch sold like a decade ago. No. They didn't know that Bud was sold to Stella, basically, a long time ago. We do, because we're like, great, maybe their beer will get better.
but no. But they kept the original recipe, which is so great.
I think that when there's so many things that people associate and then intertwine in with their personal identity, with different ideologies or different cultures, and I think that's where the anger comes from, right? I think they literally feel betrayed by Anheuser-Busch, something that they grew up that they thought was like intertwined with their conservatism, with their Christian ideology, and it all kind of like went together in their mind. And I think this like really broke their hearts, a lot of them, and sideswiped them because they was just so unprepared.
Well, and that's a great point here, Bob. And if I can counter here for everybody else in the world that's rational, it's like, what kind of fucking fairy tale delusional existence are you living in? A fucking company that sole purpose is to generate revenue is supposed to be the foundation of your Christian morals backbone? Like, what are we doing here? You betrayed me. You're like, dude, I'm a company. I'm here to make money. Hey, we sold ourselves to InBev. Why? Not so you could feel good at night and stuff your fucking your Bud Light cans under your pillow so the Bud Light fairy could come fucking give you like, I don't know, Copenhagen or something like that. Like, just give me a break, bro. Just give me a fucking break. Like, but you're right though. This is the narrative. This is the reason they literally think this, like, this was an American company. This is a company that valued like American values, Christian values, the family values, the big fucking horses with the huge horse cocks. That's America right there. Not Dylan Mulvaney with, I don't even know if she has a cock anymore, to be honest with you. And that to me is a little sus. I can understand why they might be getting a little upset there, is the wonderment. You know what I mean? That's
very personal, and I kind of never want to know so that I can always wonder. Right? And I'll always kind of be looking to see if you can see it. You'll never know.
Bob
wonder.
Bob likes his trans people with something a little bit left to the imagination. I'll tell you that right now.
I like surprises. I don't know. So I would say this, Scott. It's also it's not about being rational. It's not about being like having a formally well thought out. Again, I'd hate to point back to this, but you were talking earlier about the far right and their tendency to be undereducated. I don't think that being rational and being undereducated are I don't think they correlate on the chart. I don't think that the less you're educated, the more rational you become. So I think that inherently there's a detachment there from reality, and not necessarily because of any sort of, I'm not trying to be mean, and I hate this word because so many people think of it as a negative connotation, but it's simply the term of the word. There's just an ignorance there that doesn't allow some people to associate because they simply don't know what they don't know, right? And this whole time they grew up with this ideology and they've just kind of assumed things, and
Yep.
then now they're finding out like that there's a whole world outside of those assumptions, and I think it really rubs people the wrong way, and it's a slap in the face. And not to say that it's incorrect slap in the face. This slap in the face has been a long time a coming, but I mean that's what you get when you just like venture so far out, either left or right, and you start living in this alternative world and you're internalizing this alternate reality. Then when the world hits you, it blows you away and you can't believe it.
And it's not going to blow you like Dylan Mulvaney will. I'll tell you that right now.
Allegedly, you don't know.
I don't
You
know.
don't know.
I don't know.
Again, we'll always wonder these types of questions.
Oh, Bob appreciates a little bit of
Dylan
modesty,
Mulvaney
too.
may not be into dudes at all. We don't know. We
That's
don't know.
true.
These are all the great question marks of the trans community that I always wonder. But I'll never actually ask them because I'm like way too afraid to upset them, and they've had it hard enough. Get it?
Yeah, I do. I get it. I like what you did there. Well, I don't know, man. Like again, just this whole conversation to me, and I want to backtrack a little bit here about the undereducated thing. It's not that. There's actually some people I know that are extremely intelligent, very wise, well-to-do, intellectually, that are far right or heavily conservative. But what happens is when something rocks or chips away a little bit at their belief structure, right? That's when things get irrational, right? And it's like they separate themselves from how smart they are. And they start getting very primal with their hysteria, with their attack on their conservative foundation or whatever it is. That I think is a little bit more accurate, and I think the left does it as well.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's definitely just a thing. It's like once their belief structure is questioned, or by all means, once somebody pokes a hole and they identify the hole that's poked in their belief structure, that's when the anger, the fear, the anxiety, and I think the untapped kind of just primal rage comes out of people, which is not very rational at all.
Well, and I agree with you. And it's not to say that if you're a conservative, you're dumb. I don't mean that at all.
You heard it here first, folks. Bob said it. Bob said it.
Please take it out of context and distribute. What I really think that it is it's a matter of, like you said, I think it's core beliefs. Like we all have these core beliefs that we live our life by. And when someone infringes on those core beliefs and something that especially if you've had success with, or you've been able to like overcome some demons or redirect your life or whatever because of these core beliefs that you institute in your life, and when someone infringes on them, it's easy to start, like you said, get irrational and feel protective of it, even at the risk of being indignant about it. So again, I think that, I don't know, I just wish everyone would take a step back and be like, listen, Bud Light made a deal with Dylan Mulvaney for Dylan Mulvaney's audience. If you don't like it, don't be Dylan Mulvaney's audience.
Right. And
because
move
there's
on.
plenty of people that are like promoting, Bud Light still at like NASCAR and, half naked chicks and all that. That's still a thing too. Just go follow those guys on social media.
And if you still really like shitty light beer, continue to drink it. Dylan's not stopping you, bro. In fact, you might just have more people around you drinking the same shitty beer.
And we totally encourage that as stockholders.
We do. We absolutely do. I think that's a smart move there. So continue to get out there, drink your shitty beer, and maybe don't get your feelings hurt so much. I know it's weird for me to say that here, that the tough as nails, striking matches off their face crew just can't handle what's going on here. Just don't let it get,
because John Wayne would have boycotted Bud Light silently.
Sure.
As the tough old man that he was.
Sure. Yeah. He's a pretty racist piece of shit too, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He would have totally been up in this if he was here. He would have been leading the charge, but he wouldn't have gone to the social media. He would have just done it himself. Well, I ain't buying that goddamn gay loving shit. He sounds like my grandfather. It's like a mix of John Wayne and my grandfather right there, both ideologically and voice.
Yeah, well, but here we are. I mean, there's not much to. I don't think there's really much more to say about this, Bob. At the end of the day, I think it's to sum up my thoughts here. I think this is ridiculous. I think people need to grow the fuck up and like really find out something that's important to like be outraged about, because this is not important. There's just so many other things going on in the world or even locally in their community right now to get upset about somebody's sexual lifestyle that they don't understand, so they fear it and hate it. For them to get just like so bent out of shape about somebody's sponsorship, it's just nonsensical. So move the fuck on. But this is case in point here too. Like, I think everybody that gets their feelings hurt like this when they obviously don't really affect their personal lives, these choices or whatever, is a snowflake.
Now, I was gonna say again, it's smelling really snowflakey, and you know, personally, I don't really care what people do behind closed doors. I mean, I can't say that. I mean, I do, but silently. I have so many questions, but silently, I don't really care personally. And if you're gonna boycott Bud Light, do it because their beer tastes like shit, not because Dylan Mulvaney likes it.
Yeah, and honestly, let's think about this too. Bud Light now has the resources to know the recipe for like dozens and dozens of other great light beers. Like, why there hasn't been some kind of new iteration of Bud Light that's not so shitty, that kind of blows my mind too. But I think that's another story altogether. I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but you can hire us brewmasters at Anheuser-Busch and we will work with you. We can
100%.
figure this out together.
We'll probably just put scotch in it or something like that. Or say, hey, it's like
this Bud Light's 14%. Yeah, it is. Doesn't matter if it tastes like shit anymore.
Oh my God. Now, I will tell you, Bob, some things that are actually big news for me personally. I know this is probably not tipping the scale on everybody's, radar as much as the Dylan Mulvaney thing or other things going on in the world, but we talked about it recently here. Things are heating up here with the sale of the Washington Commanders, the Washington football team, the Washington Redskins.
Say it.
Redskins. Skins, baby, skins. Let's go. But hey, this is exciting stuff. Now, we've known for a while there's this, like, I don't even know this. What is this? It's like a buying group that includes like, and I'm talking about the first one before we get to the local DC guy. There was a buying group that's like put together
it's a group led by Josh Harris.
Josh
Harris, Magic Johnson, and somebody.
Kevin Durant, I think, is in
there.
There's
a bunch of, it's a conglomerate of dudes that have a bunch of money. They're all pitching in to buy the Commanders.
And some of them are DC natives or longtime Redskin fans or whatever it is, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. Here's the thing I want to say before we even talk anything more about this, Bob. Anybody that takes this team from Dan Snyder is a good fucking guy in my book. Guy's a piece of shit. He needs to go somewhere. I wish there was some kind of like repercussions or some kind of consequences this guy would face. But honestly, I don't even think he's worth the time. You know what I mean? Just get him out of the front office, get his toxic culture out of Washington, and let this football team hopefully thrive again. But what's really exciting, Bob, and this is both something you and I were looking at here like last week, is there's a local DC guy that's got quite a story. He's also African-American, which is cool. And he's also, is he a tech billionaire? Is that a startup billionaire? Like,
yeah, I'm
actually story a little bit more.
I'm actually looking for the guy now. I know I sent you the article, but now I'm having trouble finding it.
Give us a little juice, Bob. Who is this guy? I want to say he made
this guy is Brian Davis.
Hey, Brian Davis,
a local DC native, Brian Davis, billionaire.
Like
looking to make a cash offer of $7 billion.
Now, look, I'm no Andrew Yang, dude, but $7 billion, that's a lot of cash to come up with. I might have to give you an IOU for a large portion of that, Bob. I could probably give you about $25 out of my pocket, cash. But like, how's he doing that? Is he literally just bringing in suitcases into the front office here? Like, what's the plan?
I don't really know. All I know is that this guy kind of comes right out of left field, right? Like the day after Snyder agrees to a $6.05 billion deal to the Josh, what is it, Josh Harris group, I think I said.
Yeah, something like that.
With a $7 billion bid to buy the Commanders.
Mhm.
So, and apparently he had some intellectual property. I'm trying to see what he actually got that for, so that I could give a little bit of context here. But I'll be looking for that. Um, but either way, and he was saying like he has cash, so he'll give him the first billion within 24 hours, and the entire 7 billion within 1 week. I don't know about you, but I would take that deal. Plus,
Yeah.
you know, he's African American. He's a local DC guy. This would be great for the league to sell to this guy
Oh.
and let him have the Commanders. Let him be local. Let him keep it local. Let him be the first African American that isn't part of a conglomerate with a majority stake that owns the whole potato there. That's 100% majority owner. That is rare. That is some what's his name for the Patriots? Robert Kraft. That is Robert Kraft. That is Jerry Jones. That is very few owners have 100% stake.
Yeah, and you know, say what you will or whatever, but optically, it's exactly what the Washington like organization is kind of going for, right? I think for them to like be able to make waves and be able to like, you know, create something historic, like having the first 100%, you know, black owned team, that'd be pretty sweet. You know, good for them. I like, we'll see what happens. Again, anybody, the buying group or this dude buys the Commanders, I think we're in a good spot there, getting rid of Dan Schneider. But this is exciting shit, bro. Very, very exciting shit. I would hope, and this is something you and I talked about too. I know it would be kind of strange for the fans and for spectators, like just general spectators. But I think first order of business, whoever purchases the team, is you come in and you rebrand, baby. You get rid of the Commanders. I know there's probably a couple of people out there, literally like 3 or 4, that love the name Commanders with just the fucked up looking W, how they altered the logo so much just to make it look like a college football team. But I think we go ahead and drop the Commanders and we rebrand again, and we go back to the drawing board there with a couple of those other notable front runners for the name, and go with like Washington Warriors, Washington Red Tails, whatever you like there. But I think that's first order of business, Bob. But wouldn't that be exciting, coming in with a new brand, like ditching this garbage?
As of 6 days ago, it looks like Davis's offer is still in play, and they haven't finalized who's actually going to sell the team to. It's got a little bit of backdrop here. Josh Harris, a co-owner of the 76ers. He joined Maryland philanthropist Mitchell Rales and Magic Johnson to pull together the bid. Right. But here's an interesting thing about Davis, though. He said that, again, he'll give him the first billion, like we said, within 24 hours, and the remaining 6 billion within 7 days. He's also willing to indemnify Dan Snyder as a condition of his offer, which means taking on any of the liability legally related to Dan Snyder and his ongoing investigations into the team, meaning all that civil cases he's got for sexual harassment and all that shit that's going on. Well, he's willing to pay the settlements and take on all that financial responsibility, as well as give him the $7 billion, because you know that could like easily be tens of millions of dollars as well.
Right, but basically giving Dan incentive to just sign on the fucking dotted line.
Just sign and get the fuck out of here, dude.
Hey, all your troubles are going to go away. You're still going to be a billionaire. Just go enjoy, go on your yacht or whatever. Do what you want to do. Go sexually harass some people in the mall. I'm not sure what he likes to do in his spare time, but get the fuck out of the front office, dude. And let's let football people do football things in Washington again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He also said he indicated his intention to use renewable energy for all operations and community developments for the team. Like, he's really going all in. He wants this team real bad, and
good.
I think they should give it to him. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's tough because they've already like started committing to this other deal. But how are you going to turn down an extra $1 billion and to relieve yourself of civil liabilities of all your wrongdoings against all of your employees and just walk away?
And honestly, on your way out, do a good thing. And I know optically for some people, like, oh, who gives a shit if he's black, and who cares if he's the first black owner? Look, I understand that shouldn't be the most important thing about this, but let's just face it. It is important in this day and age. It just is. You know what I mean? So whether you're white, you know, white, black, yellow, whatever it is, dude, you got to respect that this also could be like maybe Dan Schneider's positive, like bowing out kind of, you know, gesture that he really needs if he wants to save any face in the NFL. Because you know what? People don't like him at all. The owners don't like him. The fans don't like him. Nobody likes him.
This guy can do all of that for Dan Snyder. Come on in. And then go ahead and give Lamar Jackson a $200 million signing bonus and sign him up for $10 million a year. Boom, done.
out of his pocket, his personal bank
Cash.
account. He's like, Lamar, look, we don't even need to get the team involved on this one. I'm just gonna here, let's walk over to the vault. I'll give you your money. Just make sure that you lock this up safely. It's a lot of cash. You know what I mean? You are one guy. You're also in DC. You probably want to be careful with that.
I guarantee you the Ravens don't have that kind of liquid cash to match that, and they'd have to let him go. And that sets the Commanders up with a 26-year-old MVP and a hell of a fucking team around him.
Now, let me ask you this seriously because I'm ignorant to it. Can you do that, or do you have to stay within bounds of the salary cap?
There's no limit to your signing bonus. It's as much money as you're willing to spend. Yes. So signing bonus doesn't have anything to do with your contract. So if I wanted to pay you $500 million, but only make it hit $10 million against the cap, and we do it over 5 years, I'll pay you $20 million for the next 5 years. But I'm going to give you, X amount of money every single year. And we may even restructure every year and do it that way. Or they may just say, hey, let's just give you all this money up front. But you don't want to Albert Haynesworth it and give too much money up front.
You do not want to do that. What a piece of shit that guy was. No, but so let's look at this real quick here. This is interesting here. You got the deal almost finalized with this buying group. You got a local black billionaire that just loves the team, wants to come in. He wants to buy the team outright. He wants to buy it in cash, cold hard cash, right? Then he notices that Lamar Jackson's kind of like, got 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the Baltimore organization. They're in the same state. Let's just call it what it is, right? A little bit of a rivalry there. We'll say that the least or what have you. He sees the opportunity to just payload this guy that's a recently former MVP, black superstar NFL that he can bring into a new organization owned by the first black owner and potentially win a Super Bowl with them. I think there's a lot of motivation here with this guy to make this shit happen. I'm getting a little bit more excited talking about it, but I need to digress a little bit here because I don't know if this is on the table at all. This is all pure speculation.
Everything that I'm reading right now says that it's still on the table.
No, I mean about him wanting to get Lamar.
Oh, no. That would just be amazing. And he'd have the liquid cash to do it.
Yeah.
Because he just sold this intellectual property for whatever tech he owns for $50 billion. And so he literally has $50 billion liquid, which is like a really rare thing. Elon Musk doesn't have $50 billion in a vault somewhere stacked up like the scene from Batman when the Joker burns all the money, right? This guy has that. He's fucking Scrooge McDuck right now, swimming in his money. He has liquid cash. Most people have it tied up in assets. This guy does not.
Do you know what else is really rare?
A talking duck.
No. I mean, you would think so, but there's actually some proof there. But what else is really rare is me forecasting and trying to understand if my shit that I'm going to have is liquid or not. I'm telling you that right now.
Oh, I like what you did right there.
Mm-hmm.
I've been having a little trouble anticipating the consistency.
Well, it's interesting. It's always a dice roll. You know what I mean? I'm just going to say that now. But yeah, I've noticed for the past few weeks, which kind of lines up when I started doing my intermittent fasting, that sometimes I'm like, I got a nice healthy shit coming on. And then I go into the bathroom and I literally feel like something is wrong because it's so explosive. I mean, we are tattooing the back of the toilet with just the most liquid, as you were saying earlier, but the most non-solid shits. Can you even call them shits, or like you used to say, is it really just teaching your butt how to pee?
Yeah, no. I call it spackling the toilet with duck mud.
Duck mud. I don't know why. I don't know why ducks keep coming into this thing, but I like what you're doing there. Yeah. We are definitely spackling. We are doing some drywall.
I'm with you. I've been fasting for a while, and man, there's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, maybe I'm not researching the right things, but it's just sometimes when you're fasting and you eat that, it's always when you eat that first meal for me, and then I have to go take a shit. You never know what's going to happen there. It could be really bad, like sweat on the brow bad. Or it could be like a normal thing and it's just like easy peasy, kind of little, little soft serve going down there, and it's nice and easy and you're out of there. But again, the consistency is always a huge question mark when you're taking a shit while you're fasting.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. There's sometimes those perfect shits, we'll call them, right? That I still have, but it's like it's a dice roll. You know what I mean? It's not even every other. I can't even predict it. It's like, okay, I just had an explosive shit. Now this one's gonna be normal. Okay, then we're gonna have another fucking explosive diarrhea type shit. Then we're gonna go back to normal. I don't even know when it's gonna happen. Very, very unpredictable, but it's reassuring, it's comforting, it's nice when you have that, like, it's almost like room temperature butter sliding out of your ass, right? When it's just perfect. You know exactly what I'm talking about. There's not a lot of resistance, but you can still tell it's very
It's
solid.
like you're decorating a cake.
Exactly, dude. Hey, and sometimes depending on what you're eating or whatever, maybe there's sprinkles in there too. We don't know, right?
Hey, how about when you get a little bit of both, right? So you're intermittent fasting, you eat something spicy for lunch, you go in there and it's all going down, right? It's just like all normal, but then you can tell like halfway through shit goes south and then
Yeah.
you end up spackling duck mud for the rest of the event. And then when you get up, you can kind of see like the timeline of events that happened and unfolded from your experience there before you flush it all down. I've had that happen too.
You know what that's like? It's like your butt teasing you a little bit and teaching you a lesson. That's what it's doing. It's like, oh, look what I can do for you here. It's like smooth, warm butter coming out of your ass. And like, oh, no, you think that's it? Just pop, 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 firing squad.
Everything's going all good here. If you could fasten up your seatbelts, we got a nice smooth landing. And then, Mayday, Mayday, Mayday! We've got an engine out.
literally, right? Where it does scare you. It does scare you sometimes, man.
It starts making noise like your butt is sputtering to complete the job. It's like, oh yeah.
Well, and it feels like sometimes too, your rectum's down there teaching you a lesson. So it's kind of like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say it's kind of like a retarded kid, like acting like he knows how to paint, right? And but his parents encourage it, so where he just gets the paintbrush and starts fucking flinging shit at the wall, and you're like, oh look, you're so talented. That's like your asshole on that latter part of the shit. Just fucking flinging them in there, dude. And just
Yeah, it starts out like, all normal, and then it heads into Forrest Gump, and then before you know, by the end of the shit, it's full on eating Gilbert Grape. Like it's
oh my god. that went south really quickly, Bob. I'll tell you what, that really turned up a notch right there. You went from being like, hey, just completely dialed in to like kind of being a little bit strange and off-putting to drooling on yourself. Good for you.
Hey, I like to contribute. I don't want anyone confusing us with like a classy production. I want everyone to understand what things are.
It's good times. I'll tell you what, I don't care how old I am. I don't care how much I learn, how much I pack into my brain. Dick and fart jokes, and especially explosive diarrhea, always going to make me chuckle. Always going to bring tears to my eyes in a lot of instances.
You mix
know what
in
I mean?
a handicapped person, and we're like right on time.
Dude, that's all we need in life, buddy. I'll tell you what. And so I hope everybody learned a lot here on the Stick Truth today. I think that's it, Bob. I think we have
I don't think we have any more legs to stand on. We got to call it at this point.
I think we've worn out our welcome, just like the underwear I forgot to pull down before I took a shit this morning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But seriously,
well,
man,
good luck, Brian. Buy the Commanders. Make a difference in the NFL. We believe in you.
Yeah, definitely, man. But I'm just pens and needles and pens, whatever you want to say there. I'm really hoping that a sale goes through very quickly and gets that piece of shit Dan Snyder out of there. But Bob, yes, we are done for the day, man. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. We'll be back. We'll be back next week. I mean, next week we're getting. It's not quite, huh? We're almost to Cinco de Mayo, so I don't know if we're gonna go Mexican theme next week. Maybe we'll wait till the week after. I don't know. What are we at here, bro? Let me just check.
No, I think next weekend we're going to be like taking shots of tequila.
Yeah, I don't see why not, right? But then the week after that,
we'll also be taking shots of tequila. Just maybe not on the show.
Cinco de Mayo is on a Thursday. You know what I mean? Well, anyways, we'll see what happens there. But guys, thanks for joining us today, for listening, for following, for just being there on our journey here of having cocktails and talking a bunch of shit, because that's what me and Bob do, and we're going to continue doing it. So, Bob, let me know if you got anything for the kids here, but we'll be back next week, and we're gonna put together another Dynamo drink. So if you haven't already, get out there and make yourself a Manhattan. They're quite tasty and they're super stiff, and that's what it's all about. Enjoy.
Yep. Remember, like and subscribe. See ya.
Bye.
Cheers, Scotty.
Oh, cheers all the way. Cheers to your tits.
Cheers for fears.
Oh, it's a great band.
Cheers for beers.
Easy cheer.
Recline that thing all the way back.